Hello everyone, welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. Whether you are brand new or returning, welcome, welcome, welcome. I sincerely hope everybody is doing well out there today, this evening, whenever you click on this video. So I did want to say we still have the courses down below for all of you who are interested in the Beyond Fear course, which is free, and our beautiful unicorn course. That is also going on. Links are down below. And also I had really a beautiful thing happen. I had a few of you actually reach out, one via the comments and a few personally, individually, straight to me about setting up a donation button, which I actually thought initially was a little bit weird insofar as, not weird, but like I'd never thought of it. So I was like, that's kind of strange and brilliant, and I'm really incredibly flattered that you guys actually took the time to reach out and ask me to set it up. So I did. So now there's a donation button on my YouTube channel should you decide to use it, and I am truly flattered and humbled by people's insistence that I set it up. So whether you reached out to me either privately or in the comments, thank you. That's totally sweet. And also, one last thing, I am thinking about doing, I used to do one-on-one healing sessions with people. I don't have time to do that, but people do reach out more often than not for private readings. So I was thinking about doing them properly where they would be like this. You would get an actual, I would post it as a private link on the channel. It would be a 12 card reading. It would be set up like healing also. You can ask anything you want, and I urge you to ask as much as you can exactly what you want to work on with emotional and physical healing too. Would be a private reading for you, and you would be getting the link. I wouldn't be able to do many of them, but I'm thinking about doing 5 a month maybe, so they would be relatively limited. But if you would be interested in that, I will put more energy into it. And I would be willing to do that if I can find the time. But I'm interested to see. So let me know in the comments if you're interested in a private reading like that for you, and we can, like I said, you know, it would be a healing reading. You'd find out all sorts of different things. It's sort of a difference, the difference between my basic reading that you get in an email and my one-on-one with Messenger or Zoom, where you get to work with me one-on-one. It's sort of in between that. But seeing as those of you who are reaching out for private readings, I thought this could be great. If you were interested, you could pop in as one of the 5 per month. So let me know if you're interested. That would be wonderful. Now, for today, we are doing a special reading. I absolutely adore Lord Ganesha or Ganesh. I have been working with this beautiful Hindu god for many, many years. Grew up just loving this energy. So it is a supreme and humbling experience to be able to bring this for you today. What messages Lord Ganesh has for you and blessings. He really is a beautiful, beautiful guide for new beginnings. Anything you're starting, new beginnings, takes out the obstacles. As you can see here, he has a little belly because he likes the sweets. He's also usually depicted with a rat. So he's very much working with not just the underdog, but for all people. If you're a writer, any kind of communication, he blesses that too. Very, very powerful energy. Like I said, I've worked with him and my soul tribe here on this earth, family soul tribe, have all been obsessed with him too. Even in my tiny, tiny apartment in the East Village when I lived in New York City, I still found a rather large space for me to build an altar just for Lord Ganesh. So that's how much I adore him. So I'm expecting some really beautiful healing energy. We've set up the healing candle as always. You can either release as always, or you can bring in abundance, and anything that you're thinking of working on or starting up, this would be extra beautiful energy for Lord Ganesh, because any obstacles he is literally going to take out of your way. That's what we're going to do today. So we have the first pile, which is our tiger's eye. Our second pile here is our amethyst. And our third pile here is the turquoise. So as always, take as much time as you need. If you need to pause the video and literally take as much time as you need. Go off and meditate, come back. The more you are aligned with your own intuition and your own sense of self, the more these will resonate for you. The timestamps will be down below, as well as all the other information that we've already spoken about at the beginning of this intro. Everything you need will be down below. So take as much time as you need. All right, we are going to just put aside these for now, but we shall return. So if you chose pile 1 and this beautiful tiger's eye, this grounding, first chakra stability, that's going to be sort of the crux of your message here, I'm sure. So we've got a few different things going on. Obviously we have Lord Ganesh. We are going to check in with him first. Then we have let's see, this is also technically a tarot. And then we have some tarot, and then we also have some other messages coming at you with some oracles. So let's put those there first. So I'm going to work with Lord Ganesh first. So you've got concentration, and you've got spiritual quest. And I'm also going to work with these tarot too to get you started. And then we have temptation, which is the devil card. A lot of people are worried about that card. Like, people are worried about the death card sometimes, but it's actually, all cards are good. And then the Princess of Pentacles reversed. So the blessing and the message that Lord Ganesh is giving you, pile 1, and it's a beautiful message, is that the darkness is rising. Now, bear with me. It may sound a little ominous, but it's not at all. The darkness is rising within you to be released. Now, you've been on a spiritual quest, or you've been on a quest to be your best self for a while. And what's going on here is this dichotomy between your personal work and what you do for a living, and what it is that you do and how you put yourself out there and present yourself. That's a curious way of putting it, but how you are in the world. And this is all beginning to come together. You have definitely put a lot of energy into personal work, and some of it has been uplifting. For some of you, again, we always say with these piles, even if they resonate, you might be at different stages of this. But for those of you who have been working on themselves diligently, and you've had your ups and your downs and your ups and your downs, you've turned a corner, you've really felt it, and then something's happened, and you felt as though you sort of pushed back down a little bit. And for those of you, again, these are always general readings, but for those of you who feel as though they've been quite successful in their personal mantra and their personal understanding of their own spirituality, but in their external life, it's still not mirroring quite the success or how it is that you want to be in the world. You don't quite have that big house yet. You don't quite have that love yet. By the way, you're not entitled, but you deserve all of it. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this pile, in this reading today. So this is all about all these elements coming together. You've worked on yourself and being able to see it, mirror it in the external world, and bringing it into your reality. That's the blessing. That's the message that I'm getting from Lord Ganesha. This is all going to happen for you. Now, there's a lot that's come up for you, especially in the stakes of fear. There's been some instinctive sort of fearful things that come up. Again, these are general messages, but it's a lack of safety sometimes that comes up, and it could be sort of projected upon specific even people or situations or whatever it is pertaining. But it's about the lack of, you never really got the space, for a lot of you, never really got the space to figure out that the world was a safe place and the world was a magical place. If you did discover that, and most of you have in one way or another, you've discovered that through your own magical practice, through your own spiritual practice, but you weren't necessarily brought up to believe that the world was a beautiful place. And there could have been, literal things that were happening around you that you took on and you saw. So you've had to really pull yourself up and really understand that this world is a safe place for you, that you are personally protected. This has not come from you. This has not come easy for you. A good portion of you have been in survival mode for a good portion of your life. Now, you can still do an extraordinary amount of work on yourself in spiritual regards and still be to a degree 1 foot in the stage of still living in that experience of surviving. And some of you, the practical end of the surviving actually kept you alive or kept you protected from other people. But now it's time for you to step into your own power. All the work that you've done to solidify, have that foundation, and really attest that the world is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful place, and it's beautiful for you in your own uniqueness, and there is room for you. What I keep getting for the messages from Lord Ganesha is that there is room for you. Before what you've done, you've carved out a certain amount of room for yourself in order to exist, in order to know who you are, and in order to get to who you are and peel off those layers so you can get and see who you are. Now it's time for you to accept that version of you is ready to be out there. That version of you is ready to take up space. You're no longer haunted by any of those fears that, that's disrespectful. I'm sorry, Lord Ganesha. We're not going to put that over your beautiful elephant face. And the trunk here too, bringing blessings for the trunk and absolutely loving this, the sheltering that you've had before, that you've had to have under protection. And some of that for the spiritual quest, you've needed to sequester yourself as such in order to be able to do what you needed to do. Maybe you needed to shut down the world to figure out who you were because you were receptive to other people's energies and figuring out where you begin and other people start. But here you are now with the concentration too. The light is coming in and you're ready for that next step. You're ready to face that fear that you've had. Now, some of it has come in a little bit from past lives, but it's also been solidified in this lifetime too. And it is connected with some kind of safety, not feeling as though you're particularly safe in the world, or that when you become fully fledged, as it were, who you're meant to be, and you put out your voice and you communicate from your heart center without any filter, which is something you've not always done. You've done in certain places, but not constantly, consistently across the board. But when you do that there won't be any consequences. You've realized that this is something that it's an attitude or an understanding that's lived within you, but it's not true, and you're working on that. That's not to say that these things won't come up, but when that fear comes up, it can really come up through your body, through the first chakra. I'm not surprised that you chose the amethyst, the tiger's eye. And for you, I can also see the protective eye for most of you. And there's a lot of Egyptian energy too, and Atlantis energy coming in for some of you. Again, a general reading. If that resonates with your soul, then that resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But this is time for you to put all those aspects together. Truly look into that fear and say, I understand where you come from now, and it's not real. And you're actually able to rise above it and keep your frequency high for the first time, instead of sort of letting it in and letting your practical mind say, well, I know this isn't really real, but at the same time, your practical mind sort of might have turned against you a little bit. And said, well, if it isn't real, why is it coming up? Why is this happening? Maybe it is. So you're at the point in your spiritual growth where your frequency is high enough for you to have some objectivity looking down on a lot of these things. Now, what that affords you absolutely is this beautiful sense of self where you get to really step into the next part of your life and really have everything take off in fruition, whatever it is that you put out there, because you now believe in yourself. So let's see what we've got here. High Priestess. I love this. Archangel Haniel. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to be right back. Archangel Haniel, one of my favorites. I love all the angels. I shouldn't say that. Archangel Haniel. And we've got the High Priestess here. And listen to your intuition. Have patience. Consider carefully what you want before acting. Absolutely. I would say for you more specifically, not to be down on the cards, but I think you do know what you want. I think you've always known what you want. But now you are considering whether it is enough, just to be more specific. Your power, your magic is really coming in. Now, you've always had this energy and magic around you. Absolutely. No one's saying anything differently, but how you've presented it to the world could have been a little bit different in different circumstances. And again, your energy to be able to really look down objectively on your life, you've been able to do that in sections and aspects of your life, and clear up certain aspects. It's almost like your concentration, like it's, when you take a course, you do, the first section and the second section, and when you read a book, you read the first chapter, you assimilate the information, second chapter. That's how you've really gone in and worked with your life. So there's certain aspects of your life that have absolutely gotten to do a 180 and have done absolutely wonderful things, and you've created this wonderful energy around the healing around certain aspects of your life. But this is about the totality of who you are. This is about bringing everything in and not spreading your concentration among this, that, and the other. I'll work on love today, I'll do this today, I'll do that today. This is about an even flow of all of your energy coming together and witnessing that magic and seeing where it goes. It's absolutely gorgeous. So it's the same energy, but you're working with it differently. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, creativity. Yes, yes, yes. And oh my goodness, you can't plan this stuff, I swear. Throat chakra, communication. That's exactly what we were just talking about. The frequency of the throat chakra, the blue flower of life, supports our self-expression and our sense of peace and balance. Now, your sense of peace and balance is coming in a huge way. Oh, come on. Share your voice. Come out of the cave. Expression and persecution too, which is, again, we talked about the past life. I don't want to talk about that because that's something that you've been working with, and it's something that I feel for most of you, again, regardless of the stage that you're at, you're either ready to face it, or you know that it's the fear of persecution, or the fear of not being seen, or for some of you, the greatest fear is being seen, and then people coming after you for what you're saying. Most of you have worked on that to some degree. So it's we don't need to focus on that. And it did come in from a past life, but there were other things that would have happened in this lifetime that would have solidified it more. This is your time to rise up. And the message that I'm getting also from Lord Ganesh is the one thing that you haven't really done is purposely rose up and said, here I am, universe, let's do this. Let me release, let me let go. Let me see what you've got for me. You've always had a plan, and you've stuck to it. I mean, you are brilliant, and at times you let go. And then when you do let go and release, there's a little bit of nervousness because, crickets, what's going on? And then you'll go back into the, the sort of control element. You don't necessarily see it as control, and that's totally fine because you're a go-getter. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of fire inside of you. And, I think a lot of us have been told that, action, 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 get out there, action, action, action. I'm going to be talking about this in my new course, and I think it's really important. The masculine side of action, action, action is very important. But unless we have the receptivity of the divine feminine, of the feminine action, of taking in the energy of what's offered, then we don't have that balance. And very often we work too hard for too little. Your message is that you don't need to do that anymore. Your self-expression is ready to go. It's ready to come out clear without filter. You're looking down objectively on some of the stuff that's rising up, your innate, really profound fears that are coming up. You're ready to really be able to look at it with a high frequency without being caught up in it like the boat down the river. You're now on the shore watching the boat go down the river and go, now I know where it comes from. And also you're ready to take that next step into seeing those mirrored images of success that you've had in your private life with your actual life, with your external life, with your public life. And yes, you will be having a public life. You were here to be a leader. You were here to get out there. You were here to show the way. The other thing that I do want to say is, and I totally do understand this, and there's never any judgment, some of the reason why you might have dumbed down what you were saying is because there is a timing element to this. In the spiritual community, there's aspects of what people are saying. When you get down to it, it's about the person delivering the messages and the energy around them. But when you look at the messages, they divert slightly, but for the most part, they're kind of the same, right? It's just a matter of who you want to work with the messages, with the energy behind the messenger, right? Which absolutely brilliant. And we need every single one of them because everybody needs to meld with different energies. But you actually had new information. And it wasn't quite the right time, but this is the right time. So some of it about not stepping up is about the timeline, but you're very firmly in the timeline and you've been supported in this timeline. You've known that your magic is there, and you could have been quite impatient at times, I feel like. You know, why? Is it my time yet? Is it my time yet? Is it my time yet? You might have started something, and again, it may have not have gone quite where you wanted it to go. And it's not that your creativity isn't there. Your creative mind is absolutely brilliant. And you get these off the wall. Sorry about that. I just saw my beautiful red jumper there. It's very cold here in Santa Fe today for the first time in like 6 months. So we're all like freaking out. But yeah, no, you have this incredible creative mind, and it really does think outside of the box. Like, you know, those exercises when somebody gives you like one word and you associate another word, and you can come up with the quirkiest stuff. Absolutely. So any kind of writing or art project would absolutely be unique and brilliant. And to a certain extent, you work on that, but it's the way in which it's been taken in the world. Your people are always behind you, and they're always like, that's great, and they see it. But some people could have been quite intimidated, I think. I'm just checking again. Yeah, we're still going. Sorry. My computer sometimes decides to do what it wants to do, and that's fair enough. Everybody has the free will, even a computer, I guess. Also, when you have psychic energy, I don't know if you get this, but sometimes electronic stuff just does not work around me. My husband's always going, I don't know what it is about you. And he really does, but he'll come in and do the one thing that I've been trying to do, and it'll take him 30 seconds. And for me, it's been 3 days. But, whatever. Yeah, I actually got banned from Apple once because they kept sending me something, and 3 or 4 times in a row it blew up, and they didn't believe that I wasn't setting it on fire. That's how incredible psychic energy can be. So I'm sure for most of you, you've had at some point some sort of thing. So bear with me if I'm checking in. So your creativity is outside of the box, and it's been appreciated to a certain extent, but now it's fully appreciated. Now it's needed. So this is your time to get out there. Absolutely. You can pray or get in touch with Archangel Haniel, and absolutely get in touch with Lord Ganesha here, Lord Ganesha, because any kind of obstacle, which I feel like they are being moved out of the way anyway. These messages from him are letting you know that they're being moved out of the way. And for those of you resonating with Power One, with this reading, there's this sort of electricity, this kind of excitement that you'll be feeling. There's something in the air. You're ready. Something's going to take off, let that feeling go, and you want to stay with the flow, free flow, and see where it goes. Again, our advice to you is to release and say to the universe, what have you got for me? You're in perfect alignment for what it is that you want to do, but the specifics of that might look a little bit different. So really look back and see what it is. Are your dreams enough? Is what you're working on or what you're doing is just a baby step in the right direction, but actually you're going to veer off in this direction. Give yourself the energy and the space to receive all of the good things that are coming in. You're the first person to be there and give away whatever anybody else's needs. But when it comes to you, you're great at giving away, but you don't always allow in help. You don't like asking for it. And if you do, you don't like it. It'll be really difficult for you to ask, a bottle of wine, and then you're like, I have to make this text, or I have to ask for this. But, the universe is there to reward you. You've done the work. So they're actually asking you to be in a receptive space to see what's coming in. You're doing so much of the work. And then what you're doing is you're expecting certain results, and you're actually blocking anything coming in. And what they want you to know is that it's ready. You can feel it. The electricity, it's in the air. You can feel something wants to come to you. Please allow it to come to you. And in that way, yes, it's a receptive action, but it's an action too. The action of take away the action that you're doing, do less in your everyday world and your everyday life, and use that action to allow in whatever's coming to you. So I'm going to do one of the Star Seeds oracle here just for a final message. But it's wonderful stuff coming in here, Pile 1. You're absolutely ready. And again, signs. Here we go. The universe has been gently nudging you forward, revealing to you signs and synchronicities. Absolutely, your guides have been there for you. They're always there for you, and your angels. But I would say particularly if you've been having dreams that have either no, that's not the word I was looking for. What is the word I'm looking for? Pulling up, let's just keep it simple. Pulling up your old stuff, like family stuff, deep-rooted stuff could be coming up in your dreams. But also signs and synchronicities could be coming up in your dreams. Your dreams could be more vivid. If you don't dream, the feeling, the knowledge, all sorts of things are coming up for you, but your guides are there in full force. Now, they always have been, but you're feeling them now. And that's because they're around you to congratulate you for this next move that's about to happen. And it's going to be very soon. For some of you, there's love coming in very soon too, for the High Priestess. As soon as you acknowledge your voice and creativity on your own terms at all times, this energy will be automatically brought in for you. And this could be perhaps your reward, something that you've asked for that's coming for you or to you. But rewards are coming in if you allow the receptive element of you to allow it to come in. You've done the work. If anything, you've over-focused on it. You've done everything you can in private. It's now time to get out there. And as a reminder, this is the timing. This is the time. This is your time. For those of you who've been like, oh, when is my time? This is your time. Your timing is absolutely perfect. Your creative voice, your beautiful voice, everything about you is absolutely gorgeous. So get out there and go be you. So wonderful, pile one. If this resonated with you, do feel free to give me a thumbs up, and please come and be part of this channel by clicking the bell icon so you can always be notified if you subscribe to this channel, and you can always get the clarity that you need. And again, all the information for this personal reading idea that I have and courses and whatever is down below. So until we meet again, stay safe and sane, pile one. Bye-bye. Okay, you beautiful pile tours. If you chose the amethyst, these are your messages of blessings and new beginnings from Lord Ganesha. And don't forget that we're using the candle. It's set up for you to either release what no longer serves you or bring in healing and abundance. So we're going to start with Lord Ganesh, and then we have tarot over here. This is also an angel form of tarot here, and then we have your oracle cards. So we're going to start off with your messages and see where we go. Relaxation and empowerment. These are just beautiful images. Relaxation, absolutely. I'm also going to go in here, see what we have. All right, so we have the Two of Swords reversed. We have the Five of Cups reversed. These are wonderful. I love this. Six of Water, receptivity here. Memories from your history or childhood. Issues regarding childhood, romancing the past. Romanticizing about the past. So the one thing that I'm getting for you is a wonderful time. This is definitely a time, so a little bit of a different energy to pile one. But we've got some sort of layover here, like a plane. But you're coming out of something from your past, all of the stuff that no longer served you. And you're absolutely, the one thing that I'm getting too is that these are all general messages, so do bear that in mind. But if these particular part of this is for you, this message is for you, then that's great. But you know, a lot of you, I'm sensing, didn't necessarily, it's not that you had a terrible childhood, but there were things that when you looked back, you had to be selective about how you looked back on it, or sometimes you didn't look back on it. And there were ways that you were influenced by it, also not necessarily in the positive either. But the level of healing that you've just achieved, you're able to really look back on things and have this sort of positive, objective viewpoint where you look upon it and you're seeing things with new eyes, and you're seeing things that you are appreciative of. And again, we want to be really clear. If things did not go your way, or there was, you know, some not so great stuff that happened in your childhood, this is not about you going back and accepting everything that happened or saying, you know, forgiveness or whatever. That's completely, totally up to you. And that's not really what we're talking about. It's just the way in which you see your childhood has shifted. There's sort of a time loop or a timeline that you can go back to and extract sort of these beautiful memories, whereas before you didn't, because you were still dealing with some of the aspects of that, the childhood stuff that was coming in. There was a little bit of regret on somebody else's part, the people that were in and around you that maybe didn't treat you so well. Now, whether they say that or it's a psychic connection, whether they say it or not, that's totally up to them. And this is not about your past coming back to you in any way. This is about you literally shaving your past away. There is a lot of sense of betrayal, I feel as though, with a lot of you, insofar as you opened yourself up to not the wrong sort of people, but you opened yourself up sort of to everybody. And the way in which you got treated back was a little bit of a mismatch. And it did not match the beautiful energy that you entered into with certain relationships. But you're letting that go. Because I can tell you, you've, instead of pouring out your energy elsewhere, you've been pulling in that energy and keeping that energy for yourself, which years ago you may have found quite selfish, but you don't anymore. You're also understanding, this could have been a concept to you, a concept that you absolutely vehemently agreed with, but at the same time didn't really bring it into your consciousness. The idea of doing less and expecting more. Now, when we say expecting, there's a certain type of energy that's in and around this to expect that good things are going to happen. There's a certain amount of action that happens, but it could be sort of silent action. Meditating is action. Alignment, being in alignment is action. Is it sort of the masculine action of going, doing that we're all used to being in and around and told that we have to see results? No, it isn't. It's a completely different way of seeing it. And even though you would have seen that and you probably would have agreed with it years ago, you didn't necessarily apply it to your life. You may have applied it to aspects of your life to see how it goes. A lot of you have a sort of a semi sort of, not exactly a scientific mind, definitely science and interest, but you're interested in how things come together. There's nothing woo-woo about you, even though you might believe in this, you might believe in that. There's a psychology behind it. You want to test the universe. It's a theory, it's a synopsis. How do we put that out there? We say we have an idea of what we want to happen, but we, X, Y, and Z, we need to prove it. This is very much who you are, and it's the beauty of who you are. So in that way, I mean, you can talk about all the woo-woo stuff you want, but the way in which you approach it will not be woo-woo at all. And you've applied that to your life. And that's been wonderful. But you've now reached this plateau where you're really actually extrapolating all of the information that you've been studying in this very specific way, and you're seeing how it can work for you. You could almost write your own book about how this masculine and feminine all that works for you, and that would really apply for other people, because the way in which your mind works is really beautiful. I love also, again, general reading, but this is what I'm picking up. And Lord Ganesha is pretty specific about this sort of thing too. This, and in this way you do resemble Lord Ganesha. I mean, he has the two trunks here. We have logic and we have emotion. A direct balance between both of them. And sometimes before in the past you could have gotten overwhelmed with your emotions, but you have a huge amount of logic to you. That balance that comes in for you is absolutely wonderful. And the way in which you approach people too, people will come in and like, I'll give you an example. One of your best friends will say, oh, I absolutely love this person. He's great. I've been watching this, that, and the other. And he's really spiritual. He's this, that, and the other. And you'll be like, great, I'm really excited. And you're totally open and excited. And you'll watch this person and you'll be like, no, no, nothing intrinsically wrong with him. Go be you, not for me. There's something about it. Like, you'll take the emotion, the intuition, and the logic. There's something that's missing from what they're saying, and you'll be able to put that missing piece together. Now, you won't go back necessarily to your friend and go, this person's full of it, You know, you won't. That's not what you do. You're not here to ruin anybody else's time. You really respect the timing of things. You want people to be able to figure things out in their own time because you want to be able to figure things out in your own time. And even though you may rush yourself, why isn't this happening? X, Y, and Z. If anybody else tries to rush you, oh, hell be damned. You will let them know that that is not going to happen. You will not be rushed. You beat to your own drum, or you do things on your own terms, but you do rush yourself. But you won't be doing that yourself. You won't allow anybody else to do that to you. And that's something that you've had probably consistently, one way or another, throughout your life, regardless of who you've had in there and how you've let them treat you. So this is a brand new way of being, of knowing that doing less, or a different aspect of this beautiful moving forward or action, is actually empowerment. And you're putting that in there and you're applying it to how you see your past and your life. And you're really actually, for the first time, able to go into past relationships, past circumstances, and see the wisdom and the beauty and be able to release for the first time. You've tried to do this several times before, even like years before. You might have been caught up with the emotion, and you might have been able to release an aspect of what happened in that situation, but maybe a month later you'd be triggered and you'd be right back there. This is done and dusted. Whatever you're doing now is done and dusted. It's beautiful. You're gorgeous. You're done. You're seeing it from the actual perspective, and you're integrating the wisdom from everything that you've been through, which means the release is over and you're ready for being able to see yourself through the light that other people have seen you in, which is something that you don't always do. You're willing to give other people the benefit of the doubt, probably way too much, actually. But when it comes to yourself, you always dumb yourself down. Even when somebody gives you a compliment, it's the hardest thing in the world. I just saw a movie the other day. I think it's Because I Said So. And one of the characters was trying to give a conversation. They were having a conversation. They were trying to give them a compliment, and she kept coming up with, oh yeah, but it was, it was easy, it's that and the other. It's like, it's not too hard. It's like harder than trying to give you a compliment. And then she realized what she was doing. That's you. You're the first person to say, oh, you look beautiful, this, that, and the other. But like, even if somebody says, oh, you look beautiful today, your first instinct will be like, oh, it's that new red lipstick I put on. Or, whether you're a man or a woman, go be you. Lipsticks for everyone. Maybe not for babies, but that would be creepy. But everybody else, And I feel as though it's the way in which you've treated other people your entire life. You're finally putting that energy within and finally treating yourself that way. So what have we got? Yes, the silver waterfall. Again, discernment. Oh, I love this. We're gonna come back to all of this. Don't worry. I'm just very excited. And leap. You go first. The universe will catch you. Absolutely. We said you were on the precipice of moving forward. And moving in this new way of being, because this ending is ended, and you now know that you don't need to put it's not that you don't have to put in the effort. It's a different kind of effort to expect a different kind of results. I'm going to move this down here a little bit here. And the waterfall, silver waterfall, that is just concluding that all of this old stuff is flowing over you, but you're able to catch all the beautiful memories that you didn't really have before. It's almost like the narrative of your life, which was a narrative before. When you look back on it now, it's almost like it's been rewritten, right? It's been rewritten by your heart, and that's really beautiful. So you get to be grateful for certain situations where there might have been resentment or anger before. A lot of you, again, general readings, but a lot of you may have had a lot of anger that you've really held on to, and that anger in some ways kept you safe. So there's no judgment there, but in many ways it kept you stagnant. You reached a certain place where you felt like you were almost on the precipice of finding out something like a transcendent kind of relationship or circumstance. You can feel it, and never really came. But now this is different, because the anger kept you back, and it may have seeped into a little bit of depression if you didn't really want to let it out. Anger can be very powerful. When we work with it, it's very powerful. But it's also judged in Western society, like bringing it out, and people are easily triggered by it when it's got nothing to do with them. But goodness, everybody will go on, I can't believe you're angry at this, and they'll trigger it and make it all about them when it really isn't. So I can understand why some of you may have dumbed down the anger, but it's not dissipated. You've worked with it in a different way. And again, we really want to let you know the version of you that I keep getting, that you're looking down on everything, that the objectivity, instead of looking within in the eye of the storm, or even looking calmly as you're looking around, you're now looking above it, which is a very different circumstances to where you were. Your sense of survival and what it is you thought you want has shifted, and that's perfectly fine. The biggest thing is discernment too. The frequency of discernment supports our ability to view the world and people around us from a place of inner balance and detachment, yet with compassion and wisdom. I actually did not know what this said. There are days I barely remember how to spell my own name correctly. So I really, even though I've worked with these cards, they're relatively new. I didn't know it said that, but that's exactly what we said. The ability to view the world and people around you from a place of inner balance and detachment, again, up, looking down. Now, it may sound as though it's not that big, but it's actually huge. When you're looking from a place of detachment and discernment, and you're looking from above, looking down, everything shifts and changes. You've changed your own narrative. You've changed your version of yourself. You go first. You're ready to leap. You thought you were ready to leap several times before, and you may have taken, instead of a big leap, you may have taken these sort of wonderful big steps, and congratulations on that. But you're ready for the big leap, and you really wanted the big leap. But at the time, you may have thought it was a big leap, and it was a big leap for you at that time. But this is a big leap. This is the leap. And you're ready to do that because you're actually free completely from your past. And the biggest thing that I keep getting to, Lord Ganesha, well done, is that, there's been a little bit of fear that even when something great is coming into your life or something is happening, there's a feel that you're going to get pulled back into the old, or old situations will come up, or it happened for you that way, where it started off great and then this happened and that happened. And there's almost an expected, you don't necessarily expect it to go that way, but you're preparing yourself for it to go that way. So that sort of dulls down or dumbs down all the beautiful stuff that's coming to you. But you no longer have that anymore. You no longer are coming from a place of lack. You now expect everything to completely work out. And then when all the good stuff starts coming in, you trust it for the first time, which is absolutely wonderful and exactly where you need to be. So, excuse me, I got so excited I burped. So well done there. So this is a brand new beginning on many different levels. And that leap, you know what that is. If this is for you, most of you will know what that is. Even if you don't know what it looks like, you know what that is. You've been leading up to this in your own way. Absolutely. And this is absolutely and completely your time. So we're going to do the star seeds for one last message here. One last message for the star seeds oracle cards for you. Let's see what we get for you, pal 2. Lord Ganesh and the starseeds, wisdom. See your adversaries as opportunities to expand your spiritual light. Now, this is something that we've already talked about, everything that you've been through. And I do want to make clear, again, it does not excuse the behavior of others. It does not mean that that was okay. If anything, that anger allowed you to rise in that anger and say, I'm not going to be treated like that anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. And if you just sort of allowed it to happen or did that sort of, I'm all about forgiveness for moving on, but sometimes you need to get angry and you have to say, this was bad, this was bad, I don't accept it. And you can still release without having to be in contact with the other person or whatever. And this is what you've been doing. So much so, this is just reiterating that when you look back on your childhood, you look back on all these experiences before of lack or what you sensed as betrayal, you realize that it was an opportunity to expand. It was an opportunity for you to realize how brilliant you were, but you were constantly not putting your energy first and falling short of what you truly deserved. And these people and these situations were showing you that, particularly in your upper life. Certain things that happen with childhood, obviously you're a kid and you're innocent and all of that. No, absolutely not. There's other things for some of you, again, general reading, that you would have to have come to terms with there. And it came from a lack and a scarcity. And that's something that you've also dealt with on your own terms. And for some of you, it could have been quite painful, but you've come out of this with a catalyst kind of urgency of this brand new sense of transformation. And that the most important thing that you've come out of this on your own terms and putting yourself first. And with this idea of expansion, I'm not going to let this happen to me anymore. I'm not going to have this energy in it around me anymore. I want to take off, and I can't because I'm too dense and heavy with this energy. It's got to go, and it will go on my own terms, which I'm always grateful for. I always say to people, there's not one way at all to heal. There are many different ways to heal. Don't ever, people go to psychiatrists, whatever. That doesn't seem feasible for me. You're going back over the same old crap. But if that works for you, that works for you. What you've done here is that you've taken whatever it is that you are, you've taken your passion, you've figured out what works for you, and it's a template now, and you've moved beyond it. That's beautiful. It's almost like you picked up, so many other people were telling you this, that, and the other, do it this way, do it that way, and you did. I feel like you tried it on a lot because you're open and you want to do that, but now your energy is first. You're not wasting your time doing any of that anymore. Like we said before, yeah, that doesn't work for me. That person doesn't work for me. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person or anything. There's no shame in saying that doesn't work for me. You're not denying that person is brilliant, just not for me. That's it. And you're doing that now. You're ready for that leap. And you're ready for that discernment. So you can be trustworthy. You can have that trust telling you that whatever good stuff is coming in is going to come in. It's not going to dissipate. The other shoe's not going to drop anymore. This really is your brand new beginning. This really is your leap. You cannot compare it to anything that's ever happened in your past before. So expect good things, be in receptive mode, and use your time accordingly. Do a little less, bring in a little more. Remember, meditation alignment does a lot more than running around and getting everything done. Because once you've run around and got everything done, you're waiting for everything to take off. But if your energy is in alignment, it just takes off, right? You're cutting to the crux of what needs to be done. You now know how to do that now. Plus, you've got these beautiful memories and this beautiful understanding of your life. Like if you wrote something about your life, a paragraph about your life, it would actually be beautiful. Your writing would be beautiful. Maybe 3, 6, 8 months ago, it wouldn't have been as gorgeous. So that's how far you've come in a relatively short amount of time. All right, pile 2, do let me know if this resonated with you. If it did, I would love a thumbs up. Do let me know in the comments. I do love hearing from you. And of course, subscribe and hit that bell icon. That way you never miss an opportunity to get some clarity and some help. And of course, if you need extra, as we talked about in the intro, if you're interested, maybe I'm trying it on for a particular type of reading that would be like this. All the details are down below, as are a couple different ways to work free and otherwise in the courses that just have wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things going on to help you, give you clarity and give you support. All those details are down below. All right, pile 2, sending so much love and light to you until we meet again. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, pile 3, if you chose this beautiful turquoise, which always reminds me of Santa Fe, then these are your messages from Lord Ganesh. Definitely about blessings, what's coming to you, new beginnings. Do remember that you can either project upon what no longer works for you in a releasing fashion or bring in healing energy of abundance, because this candle is set up for healing. So we have Lord Ganesh, 2 cards here, and then we have our tarot here. That's a form of tarot too. So we're going to put those over there. And then we have our oracle cards over here for extra clarity. So let's see what we have for you. Capacity to love. That's beautiful. These cards are just gorgeous. And childlike expression. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Got Ganesh as a little one there, as a wee one. So I'm also going to go right in for pile 3 here. And we've got the 9 of Pentacles reversed. We've got the 3 of Swords reversed. And we've got the 2 of Air. So the 2 of Swords, which is funny because you've got the 3 of Swords. Ha. Not that kind of funny. 2 of Air. So being unable or unwilling to make a decision, a stalemate, pretending there is no problem. So the few things, the main message that I'm getting for you from Lord Ganesh today is that a new way of doing things is upon you. Absolutely. You totally understand that on an intrinsic level, you understand that love is the way forward. I keep hearing All You Need Is Love, that Beatles song. It's Beatles, right? Oh, yeah. I think so. My dad was obsessed with the Beatles, so I know pretty much all of their songs, at least in their early years, because I grew up with them. So I feel as though you understand what that is. And I also feel as though what we feel is that you understand a way to get there. It has to happen within you first. So for those of you who have been like sort of cynics, you're great with people and you're really wonderful and open, but there's not exactly a trigger, but what will happen is if somebody displays that sort of a certain sort of behavior, it either triggers you or you'll be like, oh my goodness, I don't understand it. I can't believe how this is happening or how that person can believe that. And you literally pull yourself away from that energy to protect yourself. And no judgment, totally understand why you would do that, because some of it is so beyond. How could you even come up with that understanding of humanity or treat people like that or whatever? I totally understand that. And coming from who you are, you're not the sort of person that would do that at all. So it really does come from this idea of how could you do that? How could you behave like that? There's a softness to you. There's a childlike expression and a beauty to you that's absolutely gorgeous. But at the same time, you've often shut it down or protected it because that's the way in which you've been in the world. Now, something shifted for you recently. There's a little bit going on with all of the piles, with the shifting and a specific type of transformation in how you see yourself. But there's all different energy in each one of the piles. But it's also the way in which you've witnessed success in your life. You've often put yourself and compared yourself to other people who were more successful, that you thought that were more successful. But at the same time, you didn't want to do what they did. You didn't want to get there in the way that they did. And that's perfectly wonderful. But then you would still put yourself into that situation and still make yourself feel bad for not being where they are. All of the pieces of the puzzle had to come to you, and they're now coming to you. And Lord Ganesha is definitely moving away the obstacles for you. And if this is resonating with you, even if it is resonating, you might be at different stages of this, but you should be at least at the stage pile 3 where you know that there is a new way coming in for you. And not to sound woo-woo, but it really is love. The way in which you love the universe, the way in which you love people, the way in which you love animals and innocence and children, and you love the woods. You've never given yourself that kind of love. You've never given yourself the benefit, the opening to receive that kind of love. You now know that once you do that, it radiates from within you. And you start to see the world very differently. Now, there's aspects of your life and certain integrations where you allowed that energy to come in. Like, you're not the sort of person to be like, oh, I don't believe in love. You're romantic. You believe in love. And you know that it did start with yourself. You do know that intrinsically, just on a very personal level. If somebody said that to you, it's absolutely, it's got to start with you. You knew that. But you may have applied it to certain aspects of your life, and this sort of coincides a little bit with pile 2, but again, very different energy. But it's almost like you didn't give yourself the benefit of the doubt. You didn't give yourself enough space to breathe in your own version of the world, even though you did not want to do the same thing as everybody else. When everybody else did it, they might have given you the steps. That's like, I can see, there's a lot of people online, diva this, diva that, I can get you a client that will pay you 20 million a month and this, that, and the other. And they have rave reviews, and I'm pretty sure they're doing it. Sounds wonderful. But none of that would be interesting to you because that's how they did it and that's their success. Well done, you. But you wouldn't want to do it that way. You always thought outside of the box. But again, you still compared yourself to other people, and then you sort of sat in this atmosphere of, well, I don't know that I want to do it that way. I'm not willing to do it that way, but I don't have the success that I had. And it created this sort of stalemate for you, where you weren't moving forward the way that you wanted, and you weren't really applying or seeing the external benefits that other people were getting. But at the same time, you had the same charisma, you had everything. You weren't really out there, but that's because you hadn't chosen your path yet. It's almost like you've spent most of your life knowing exactly what you don't want. but not really knowing exactly what you do want. Now, that's a wonderful thing, actually. Knowing what you don't want and having almost is really, really wonderful. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I wasted my time in that relationship. And I've heard people say this 100 times. They were exactly the opposite of what I didn't want. That's beautiful. It's much more difficult to leave a situation that's almost right, but just needs a little tweaking. Do I stay there or not? Rather than going into a situation where it's an absolute disaster and there's 20 things that you don't like, 20 things you don't want to put up with, 20 things that you're never going to attract again. So it's a matter of like, you've been an observer in your life and you've been a peacekeeper for other people, but now you're applying that peace to yourself and understanding that the love comes in. Once you give yourself that love, it actually makes this beautiful friendship with the confidence that you have. You have a certain amount of confidence in yourself, but it falters sometimes. So now that this confidence is with self-love and self-attitude, you now can stand firmly in your foundation and say, you know what, this idea, I'm going to do it this way. It's a little bit weird, but that's the way I'm going to do it. And instead of focusing on how everybody else is doing things, knowing that you don't want to do it that way, and that's perfectly fine. You're definitely a trailblazer, so you're not going to do things the other way. You know, that's not to say that every now and again a course won't come along and say, that's wonderful. But the courses that you would be interested in, just as a specific, would be courses that are really open, that give you a ton of different information coming at you, but doesn't tell you one way to do things, you know, or doesn't say this is how I did it, because how do you know that that would apply to you? You know, you're in for more information as long as the information is completely open and you get to come out of it knowing that you got to project and get your own version of reality out of it. That's the sort of information or the sort of courses or the sort of people that you would be attracted to working with in the future or in the past even. So it's not like you've not gotten schooling or you've not sought out how to better yourself, or even, like I said, you know, taken on extra information. But even that would be very strategic, very specific. It's almost like for some of you, again, a general reading, so this only might be for a couple of you, it's almost like when one person tells you there's only one way to do it. I believe this too, so I'm one way with you. You know, there's one way to do it. You won't really be interested. The only other way is if that person says, I've got proof, and there's kind of a psychology behind it, because you're all about proof and facts. So in that way, you're very similar to Pal 2. In that way, it's certain regards of your personality is very similar to Pal 2. Then you might be like, let's see how this person did it, because I kind of like their energy. And I'm kind of interested in their thought process. But even then, the way in which you'll immerse yourself, quote unquote, in there is very much like, I'm seeing because it worked for them. It doesn't need, I'm curious. It doesn't mean I'm going to take it on. So it's like you're very, very open. So, but now you're focusing less on how things are working for other people, but they're not working for you. And taking in that beautiful relationship of self-confidence and self-love. You've had love for other people. And I feel as though that's got you into trouble before, a little bit of betrayal. Again, very similar to Pal 2 too. If you're interested in going back to Pal 2, Pal 3, you might want to do that too. But also the other thing is that I'm picking up very strongly, the message that I'm getting is that you've not been appreciated for who you were. I feel as though you have a lot of wisdom, a lot of beauty. There's a sense of freedom around you. Now, you've not always felt free, but there is a sense of freedom around you. But as a contrast, you've actually attracted people who really pull themselves into a little box and want to stay in that little box. And their mind might be free, but there's an aspect of their life where they're not, and they don't want to take in any more information. So you were never fully appreciated for the freedom antics that you have. And that caused some of you to like shut down a little bit, but that's all opening up. So your capacity to love is not anywhere, any way, shape or form anymore connected to how people treated you or the experiences that you've had before. It's now connected to who you truly are and accepting who you truly are. And this beautiful childlike kind of essence is coming in that doesn't need to be protected anymore. I feel as though a lot of you have connected very strongly with your child essence recently, but it comes in and out. This is a real integration process that's that's really causing you to make a decision. I'm ready for this leap. I'm ready to move forward. All of the piles have that in common. Ready for that leap. And you really are, but you're going to leap with the beautiful childlike expression of you firmly behind that decision, which is the best way to do it, I think. Most people don't do that. Okay, well, this is great. Sexual freedom. Who doesn't want that card? Well, probably not a nun. A nun probably wouldn't want that card because I can't imagine that she would have any fun with that at all. But you're not a nun, I hope. And if you are, I apologize. So we've got Nun, and then we've got Earth, 24. The frequency of Earth activates our deep connection to this physical plane by showing us the beauty of all aspects of our Great Mother and revealing the more ethereal, spiritual aspects of our nature. So there is a new grounding into, this card indicates that it's the earth, but it's more for you. It's the foundation of your actual soul. And because you're getting to the foundation of the actual soul, and there's huge self-acceptance and transformation there, the way in which you connect to others, the way in which you see the world will be completely different. And of course, your first and second chakra will be now completely open. The ever unfolding rose cracked open. I swear, I did not know. It's happening for you, not to you. So regardless of where you are, if this is resonating with you, if you're at the point where everything's sort of cracking open, this is beautiful to remember. It's happening for you, not to you. Sometimes it feels a little overwhelming, especially when the first and second chakra, which is happening for you, is clearing out. Some of this fear-based stuff, old lovers, that sort of thing. It's clearing you out for a new lover coming in. I can definitely feel that for a lot of you too. But your sexual expression too has been, for some of you, has been shut down in one way or another. It could have been shut down because you needed to protect it. There are many different reasons, and again, never any judgment. But this is waking up in a very, very new way. The way in which you can use your sexual energy actually can be very powerful. Now, some of you may have already engaged in this, and that's wonderful. And for those who haven't yet, it's in the cards for you should you decide to go in that way. But the most important thing about this card here is the sexual freedom, is that the freedom that's coming from your creativity, again, from the first and second chakra, which were your chakras in many ways. This is all about self-love and heart chakra, but your heart chakra may have been too open in the past in many ways. It's your first and second chakra that held all of those memories and held the division of what it is I don't want. Now that's clearing out. You've got all this freedom to figure out what you do want and how you're personally going to go get it, without anybody telling you how you should go get it. It's absolutely wonderful. So I wouldn't say a lot of you have been at a stalemate exactly, but some of you, real talk here, may have been like, all right, I'm in observing mode. I'm doing observing mode. We're in observing mode. We're on lockdown. We're doing this. It's not the time for that. Absolute rubbish, hogwash. It's really time for you to do this and get out there. If anything that this is telling you is that your newfound foundation within yourself, knowing yourself, integrating your soul, is actually connecting you in a brand new way in the world. So it's time for you to step up and do what you want to do. So, this observing mode, which worked for you and was wonderful, is now over. It's about activation. It's about action. It's also about receiving sexual freedom, receiving that energy and allowing whatever is holding you back from that to release. So if you're in the releasing stage of it, it's ever unfolding, but you do feel as though you've been cracked open. I certainly have had that feeling. Please remember, it's happening for you, not to you. This too shall pass if you're in that phase. And hey, just hold on, because this is what you're gonna get, And for those of you who are a little bit intimidated by that card, come into that card and that intuition of what that card feels for you. We don't ever want you to feel overwhelmed here at Unicorn Light Tarot. But your magic and your spirituality and your sense of freedom and beauty is definitely going to be highlighted in a brand new way and appreciated by a different group of people who will then also add to your self-love and self-professed ideology of just being free. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are Sagittarius, but even though a lot of you have this real dichotomy in your personality, there's an essence of you that's so free, does not want to be tied down at all. But then, another aspect of your personality you'll get dumbed down in the details and keep going over the details, and action, 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 and then you'll forget that there's a receptive mode. So these are coming into balance now in a brand new way that's going to bring you into a brand new beginning. Time to take that leap. Get off that observation. I was going to say observation pouch, but I don't even know what that means. That observation turret. Oh, I'm just making this up. This observation lookout post, and get into actually being active in your own life, getting out there. Absolutely. And everything that you've done so far has brought you to this point. So it's been beautiful. So nothing said there. We have one last card that we're going to give you one last inspiration with the Star Seeds card here. And this one's calling to me. Oh God, it says observation. Expand your consciousness by observing the divine matrix of life. We just talked about observation. Now, this is a beautiful thing, because the observation that you were doing is looking back and observing everybody else in your life in a practical, tangible way. But the consciousness of observing in the divine matrix of life, it speaks to your sense of freedom, of allowing everything to exist at once and not seeing the chaos in what I just said. So that's where you're at. You'll come out of the physical observation of watching everything and aligning yourself maybe with what you don't want to, and getting confused and going round and round and round in circles, to the observation of seeing everything as it really is, allowing everything in. Self-acceptance, childlike self-acceptance of where you're at and the fact that you're going to do things very differently to everybody else. Having that strong foundation of who you are with that self-love, bringing in that childlike essence of who you are. Remember to make all your decisions with your childlike self. Yes, absolutely do that. Within reason now, obviously, don't do anything stupid. Your childlike self integrated fully within your adult self is how you should do it, just to be really specific. I don't want any comments in the, I did fireworks and blew up this and you told me to do. No, that's not what I told you to do. It's a balance of everything. But your firm foundation, check in with your childlike spirit at all time. And your firm foundation is really focusing on that self-love, which brings in that new connection, clears out the first and second chakra for your energy, the creative energy, that love energy, that sexual energy, to be used in a potent, passionate way. Excellent time for you to take that leap. And I really sincerely hope that you do. This was a beautiful reading, Pile 3. Thank you for joining me for this reading. So if this resonated, do feel free to give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments. I truly love hearing from you. And of course, subscribe and then hit that bell icon. And that way you never miss out on a beautiful video. And if there's anything else that you need, any kind of course or whatever, all the details are below, of other ways to heal and get clarity and knowledge on completely different pay scales from $0 to $33 right now. And also, again, thinking about the personal reading thing, I'm in the middle of that. So if that's something that you want to comment on, please do let me know if you'd be interested. If not, all good too. So Pile 3, take it easy, go be you. Sending so much love and light to you, and until we meet again, bye-bye.